my host house, the lighting is better. Got a cool skull and crossbones in the back. So it's much more interesting background and probably much more appropriate. Again, I hope you're watching this for the content and not the broadcast quality. It's not my studio. I know the sound's not great. And damn, I need a Mountain Dew. Just give it a few minutes for a little bit of an audience to build. There's probably even a third show I can do tonight, but I think I'm going to save the third one for tomorrow, which is just an unbelievable response to a member email from Richard Longstreth. It's not really related to any of the various topics we've been talking, so I think I'm going to savor that one in my professional studio because it's unreal. It's unreal how far removed from the average libertarian and actual libertarian philosophy our current quote-unquote leadership is. Not all of them, of course. Not all heroes wear capes, and some of those heroes are on the LNC. But let's talk about the latest in the convention con job, shall we? You'd hope this would have died. To recap, I don't know, TJ got a wild hair up his rear, 1 o'clock in the morning, decided he was going to send an unauthorized email saying that the convention committee decided all kinds of things the convention committee didn't decide, causing all kinds of conflicts of interest and bylaws violations, and pretending like he was a parliamentarian when he's not. He only plays one on the LNC list. And not a peep out of Laura Epke or any of those who are just oh so concerned with conflicts of interest. Crazy pants. But okay, as I said, I'm not going to be a sore winner with TJ's walk back. I find his walk back unbelievable. I don't find that it explains at all what he did at 1 in the morning. But okay, I'll take the victory. But some of them just can't seem to leave well enough alone, can they? And I'm going to be a little bit critical of Ken Mollman here. It's going to be critical like in a good way, though. You know how you could say somebody's too nice? Or how about like, well, you know, when you have a job interview and they ask you those loaded questions like, what's your worst quality? And you're like, I'm too meticulous. It's like a humble brag, but I don't mean that Ken's humble bragging, but what I'm saying is my criticism of him is actually a compliment. Ken tries to be so helpful. He tries to add so much to the conversation when sometimes he should just be quiet because the conversation's a dumpster fire and there's not a damn thing he can do to salvage it. So there's a little bit of an explanation I want to do here because there's a certain unbearable paternalistic presumption on the part of the LNC that they get to determine on high that all of a sudden we're going to change or perhaps introduce or allow the delegates the opportunity to fundamentally change our voting systems when we didn't ask for this. They've decided on high that the time is right, but they're going to deign to let us decide. But they're manipulating the decision the entire way by making sure it gets introduced. That is not the delegates deciding. That is the delegates. It won't work, but that's them attempting to lead the delegates by the nose. If we're going to have a fundamental change to our voting system, it is going to come from the grassroots. It is not going to be dictated from on high. So for them to be agonizing and have it all this like navel gazing that they're doing about, well, we can propose this and we can propose that, but the delegates will ultimately decide. Nobody asked you to propose shit. Who do you think you are? Just leave things be. When the delegates want a change, they will tell you. And they will come up with a far better change than you're going to centrally plan. But what gives you the right to think 2 months before convention, well, we could just propose things? No one asked you to do that. To use the words of Senator Epke, but however, I'm going to use them appropriately. See, Senator Epke, when I said we needed to speak out about COVID, said we need to stay in our lane. Yeah, I can't make that up. But let me use her words appropriately. When it comes to the convention, LNC, it's a convention of the delegates. It's not your convention. Stay in your effing lane. Nobody asked you to make some huge change to our voting system that we'll just let you guys vote upon so that you waste our time for a day. When we want to change, we'll call you. Don't call us. The very fact that you think that this is your job without some groundswell from the activist base just shows how utterly out of touch you are. So while I appreciated Ken's email and everything Ken said was correct, it's not something they have been asked to do. So leave it be. Leave it be. We have enough to argue about this time, don't we? And when it comes time to change our voting systems, how about we do it like, I don't know, professionals? How about we do it like we're behaving like the third largest political party in the country who should be concerned with, I don't know, voting? It's not like this shouldn't be in our wheelhouse. So let's say it does look like we are very inefficient, which we are. That's why I twice moved to start a convention voting process committee. And both times, those committees have utterly failed. Joe Bishop Henchman was the chairman of the last one, and he dropped the ball. And I love Chris Thrasher, but he completely dropped the ball on the committee this time. But it's because he's going to law school. He's trying to improve his personal life. I'm not blaming him at all. I adore Chris Thrasher. But I tried to do this the professional way by setting up a committee, letting them study it by talking to the members and doing the investigation, not the LNC sitting in their ivory tower or in secret meetings deciding that they're just going to dictate to us and waste our time. And then you got TJ, what, like, my God, it's like a bad mushroom trip or something. That email he sent was just completely crazy pants and absolutely violated our bylaws. And he just breezily hand waved it away. But the problem isn't really that what he proposed violated the bylaws. That's a problem. But to me, that's not the fundamental problem. The fundamental problem is that they're even worrying about this to begin with, rather than just worrying about how to put on a profitable, adequate convention. Because that's all this LNC can hope for right now is adequacy. Why are they like going half-cocked on all of this stuff that nobody asked for? They couldn't even give us a logo that had anything to do with the theme that people voted for. They gave us Phantom of the Opera, and we think they're going to be redesigning our voting systems in 2 months using a system designed by a sitting LNC member, and nobody's raising conflict of interest within the LNC? Rules for me, but not for thee. But let's talk about what happened today. There are a lot of members of this party I don't like. There are a lot of members of the human race that all of us don't like. Some of them are in this party. Some of them are not in this party. Some of them are in our families. That's called the human experience. There are members that the LNC doesn't like, including me. But you want to know what? They're elected to represent those members. They are not elected to use party resources to attack those members. I knew that, and there'd been a few times I had slipped. One time I had slipped before they, unjustly removed me. And what did I do? This particular member that I attacked was someone that was calling people I cared about very deeply all kinds of names. And like sometimes will happen, you lose your cool. But you want to know what I did? And this is someone from Faketarians. I'm not going to say who it was. I went off on that person. And then immediately, nobody had to tell me this. I wrote that person personally. And I said, that was unworthy of me. I should have just ignored your email. If I couldn't respond to you appropriately, I apologized to the LNC that they had to see me go off on this member. And I went publicly on social media to people who didn't even see the email to publicly confess that I had behaved in an unworthy manner, and I was sorry for it. Because you do not use party resources to attack members, no matter how much you don't like them. Because they are paying for those party resources, and they are a party member just as much as you are, whether you like them or not. If you don't like somebody, use your own resources to say your opinion, like your YouTube channel or your own personal social media. But oops, you're not supposed to do that if you're me, but you're allowed to do that if you're John Phillips, apparently. Because all John Phillips does now is attack people. And today, he used party resources to attack a whole wide swath of members. And where's Hall Monitor Hogarth? If I had even said anything remotely like that, Aaron Adams, Hall Monitor Hogarth, the whole bevy of them would have been henpecking me to death. But not a peep when it's John Phillips. How come? John Phillips, back when I was still on the LNC, said it was because of sexism. I didn't say that. John Phillips said that. He said he got away with it because he was a man. Is that true or not? I don't know. I'm just telling you what he told me. The fact is, for whatever reason, they don't say a word to him. And he just attacked a swath of membership that is going to be the majority of the delegates at our convention, and no one is saying a word. These are national dues payers, and no one is saying a word. He basically was like, shut up, peons. I don't want your opinion. So here's what happened. You had an LNC member and some kind of weird insomniac fit in the middle of the night suggests breaking our bylaws. A member is concerned, hires a professional parliamentarian to write a professional opinion letter and send it to the LNC for their benefit. Go read the professional opinion letter because it was professional. The letter acknowledged that there's a lot of controversy surrounding this issue and that the purpose of the professional letter is not to engage in the controversy, that the professional doesn't care about the internal party controversy. They only cared about what was a proper interpretation of the bylaws. And John Phillips reacts to a world-class professional in that manner by belittling the member who was concerned enough to have to get somebody to advise them on these issues. This is what the LNC thinks of the average member. There is absolutely no reason right now that there is not a request for co-sponsors to censure John Phillips right at this moment, but there won't be. Look how fast they censored Joshua Smith for raising very legitimate concerns about staff members. Where is the motion to censor John Phillips? You can't remove him. He's a regional, but you can censure him. He attacked like thousands of party members with that. And basically said he doesn't care about their opinion. Some of them are in his region. And he also basically said he doesn't care about people who might disagree on an issue or two. What happened to the gracious Larry Sharp 80-20 rule? Now, the funny thing is, the one thing he opined upon, not his attacking of members, but the one thing he opined upon is, should we run libertarian candidates in every race, even if there is a quote unquote decent Republican or a decent Democrat? And you want to know what my answer to that? It's the same as John's. Yes. But I realize that there are good faith people who disagree. And they come from all spectrums and all caucuses. If Justin Amash had wanted to rerun as a Liberty Republican, there were plenty of pragmatists who would have said, no, we don't run somebody against him. Same thing with Massey. I disagree. We always run a Libertarian candidate. But I understand why others may have a different opinion. I disagree with them strongly, but I'm not going to, as an elected official, use party resources to absolutely shit on them because we disagree on that one issue. None of us agree 100%. Since when is John Phillips the arbiter of what issues we have to agree upon? There are some really, really good people in the party who disagree on that issue. And the funny thing is, I agree with John on this issue. But I don't think it's something that you say, if you don't agree with me on this, I, as an elected representative, am going to use party resources to not only shit on you, to indirectly shit on a world-class professional that wrote an opinion letter for you guys. How dare you? You've completely lost your way, John. And you are in no place to ever sit in judgment upon me, because I never did anything like that. I had a lot of strong words. I didn't use party resources to do so because they're not my resources. And I realize that the good members of the LNC may have their own reasons, and they don't have to share them with me for not bringing a motion to censure John Phillips. But I'm asking you to. You should. This was completely and absolutely inexcusable. And not only did he attack outside members, this group that he attacked, there are members of the LNC that are members of that group. So he attacked other members of the LNC as well, on the LNC list. All of this is completely against policy, unquestionably, but not a peep. Not a peep. If it were me, you know what would have happened. If it were Joshua Smith, you know what would have happened. Again, you don't have to explain yourself to me. But those of you on the LNC I respect, bring a motion to censure him. Please, be consistent. Again, I'm not going to hate you if you don't. There's only 2 months left in this term. I can understand not wanting to cause drama. But his words have real-world consequences. We're seeing that in Massachusetts right now. Why do you think the Death Spiral 7 were emboldened to do what they did? Because they watched the LNC do it. There is a trickle-down effect. All of this strife we are seeing in the state parties, at least on the East Coast, those ones we've been dealing with mostly, these could all be laid at the feet of you guys who just couldn't take criticism from a nearly elderly, pink-haired woman. Big men. It's all laid at your feet. So, I'm not going to think anything badly of you if you don't, but I will be cheering you on if you have the guts to bring a motion of censure against John Phillips. It's far, far more than time to do that. He should have been censured when he claimed that I was making up safety concerns. What kind of hostile environment does that create for other women in the party? But silence, utter silence. So there's that, and there's the fact that the LNC just has the utter hubris to think that we want them to be redesigning our voting system. No, we don't. No, we don't. And there's certain of them that should just resign right now, honestly. Phillips being one of them. Not that I really want Jared Hall to take his place. He's not much better, but he's kept his mouth shut lately. Lucchini is another. The amazing amount of hypocrisy. It's a death spiral with the death spiral 7. All I know is I've been working my ass off since they removed me to help other people. And they've been doing nothing or nearly nothing except for worrying about their own seats. And some of them are delusional enough to think they might get reelected. But hopefully this will be the end, but it probably won't be, of the convention con job. Our voices were heard this time, though. Our voices were heard. Listen, I'm not looking forward. I'm definitely not looking forward. How do I put this? Because I like the guy in a way that's not horrible. John Wilford is not prepared to be convention secretary, and I am not looking forward to the painful exercise of him trying to do that very, very difficult job. It's not fair to us, and it's not fair to him. But redesigning a voting system isn't going to make it any easier. The one thing that'll make it easier is just put somebody there who knows how to do the job. But that's where we're at. But I'm going to save Richard Longstress just completely. I want to make this clear. People in this party you disagree with or people you don't like. Sometimes they're just people you disagree with and people you don't like. They have every right to be in the party as you do. You don't like them, block them, stay away from them. Like what is it the Hamilton soundtrack that the world was wide enough for Aaron Burr and me, after Alexander Hamilton shot that dude. The world is wide enough for the people you don't like in the party and you. Just steer clear of each other. But there are, and they're very, thankfully, very, 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 very few people that just need to go. They're not libertarians, and that's okay. You want to know what? When I was growing up, I wasn't a Christian. Then I became a Christian. So I didn't, like, when you change your mind about things you believe, there's no shame in that. People change, you grow. And I think there's some people very, oh, did I have it mixed up? Yeah, Aaron Burr shot, you know what I'm saying. I'm not a big I'm a LP history. You guys got a bunch of librarians here in chat. Whoever shot who? You know what I'm saying? We don't need to be shooting each other. We could just steer clear of each other. I obviously did not listen to the soundtrack enough. Though there's some great songs on that, isn't there? I mean, Alexander Hamilton was a bastard, but that was a great, great soundtrack. Man, I love that. I love musicals. Yes, I'm a geek. I'm a theater geek. Not gonna never mind. I'm not even gonna bother to try to sing it to you. Um, but you just steer clear of those people. But there are 0.00001% of those people that just need to yeet themselves out because they're not libertarians anymore. And you want to know what? If you think mere words and mere criticism is aggression and a violation of the non-aggression principle, you're not a libertarian. And I wish you all the best in finding a party that more closely conforms to your belief. And there's no shame in that. And if you're an LNC member and people write you criticism, I'm not talking about trolls. I'm not talking about people calling you a beta bitch. I'm not talking about people name calling you. I'm talking about people criticizing you, which isn't always easy to hear. But that's not aggression. And if you think it is, I'm sorry, you do not understand libertarianism and you have no place in leadership. If you think recall petitions against state boards are aggression, you are not a libertarian. You do not understand at all what we believe. You might be a Liberty Democrat, and you want to know what? We need more Liberty Democrats. We need more people who are great on war that are on the left, like Tulsi Gabbard. If you've changed your mind and you've moved on, then move on. But words, criticism is not aggression. You do not understand human freedom if you believe that. And it's better for all of us if you just accept that and move on. And if you thought what I just said to you was aggression, and you're wondering if I'm talking to you, yeah, I'm talking to you. If you didn't think that harsh criticism I just gave was aggression, then we're probably cool. We just disagree. But keep a close eye on the Libertarian Overlords, the LNC Overlords, as convention gets closer. Because I don't think we've seen the last of it. I don't think we've seen the last of it. And I'm going to end with, once again, a plea to sign the petition for, what are you guys calling yourself? Is it the 47 Mass or the Mass 47? I keep getting it wrong, but I know it's the Death Spiral 7, but I don't know if it's the 47 Mass or the Mass 47. But the wrongly expelled members of Massachusetts. If that were you, you would want someone to stand up for you. Stand up for them. Because one day, karma's a bitch. It might be you. See me for the links for the petitions. Because now Tara DeSisto is threatening them with, it's not even legal action, it's fake illegal action, cease and desist letters. I could write a cease and desist letter. You don't even need to be an attorney to do that. They don't mean anything. When you get served with suit papers, so then worry. And it ain't the Mass 47 that probably should worry about that. But threatening people with cease and desist letters and censorship and trying to silence them, that's about as statist as you can get. Like, that should be your first clue that there's an issue here, that maybe you don't understand liberty. But that's okay, Tara, because the appeal is coming in your mailbox. And your days of bullying my libertarian brothers and sisters are coming to an end. Enjoy it while you can. And those of you who have not read that just awful email from John Phillips, go ahead. This LNC is circling the drain, and a lot of damage can be done in 2 months. If you don't like your party members, John, that are the majority right now, maybe you should just quit. Not the party, but your position, because you can no longer represent them. You despise them.